Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we honor the lives of our neighbors that we have lost this year. Every year on the winter solstice, we gather together to remember our friends and neighbors. This day is chosen as it signifies the return of light as the days begin to grow longer. The light brings back hope for rebirth and renewal, both of which are sorely needed after the challenges that we have faced in 2020. We will honor those that we have lost today. We will have readings, a song, and a homily. Some of these segments have been pre-recorded, and some will join us live via Zoom. We will light a candle for each of our neighbors that has passed this year, as well as one for those that we don't know have passed, and observe a moment of silence for private reflection. Thank you once again for joining us today, and now may I introduce our housing case manager, Marie Bolfer, who will be reading Remember Me by Margaret Mead.
Remember Me by Margaret Mead. To the living I am gone, to the sorrowful I will never return. To the angry I was cheated, but to the happy I am at peace. And to the faithful I have never left. I cannot be seen, but I can be heard. So as you stand upon a shore gazing at a beautiful sea, remember me. As you look in awe at a mighty forest and its grand majesty, remember me. As you look upon a flower and admire its simplicity, remember me. Remember me in your heart, your thoughts, your memories of the times we loved, the times we cried, the times we fought, the times we laughed. For if you think of me always, I will never be gone.
Thank you very much, Marie, for sharing that reading with us. Next, I would like to introduce our shelter manager, Carol Marie O'Mara, and her husband, Jake, who will be singing Longest Nights by the Many.
Shouldn't be here tonight. It doesn't seem quite right. Here where the cattle sleep, here where they keep the sheep, here in the mud and blood and hay. How can you end up in this place? Shouldn't be here tonight. It doesn't seem quite right. Here where the hurt is deep, here where the wounded weep, where there's so much we cannot say. How can you show up in this place? Emmanuel, Emmanuel, God with scarred and starry night, in our aching, crying nights, in this trembling, tender moment, before we start to see the light. Dawn. Emmanuel, Emmanuel, God with us, love for us. Emmanuel, Emmanuel, born into the longest nights. Emmanuel, Emmanuel, God with us, love for us. Emmanuel, Emmanuel, born into the longest nights. Emmanuel, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Carol Marie and Jake, for sharing that beautiful song with us. We'll now be joined live via Zoom by Father Corey Brost, who will be sharing a homily with us.
It's a real honor to be with you all today, though virtually. And as we use the word remember, I'd like to take the time to honor and remember a young girl from a family experiencing homelessness who I met some 22 years ago. Her name is Crystal. And I pray that this morning, this generation later from when I met her, that she is finding peace and happiness and meaning and wherever she may be. I was at the time out in Las Vegas working at one of our high schools, a Viatorian high school, and regularly leading young people to a family shelter. And over a period of weeks, we came to know Crystal and her family. Crystal was about 6, blonde hair, blue eyes, maybe, just a small, cute kid who our students used to have fun playing games with while we were there for about an hour or so once a week, so that the parents could attend some life skills classes. I remember one Wednesday being there and learning the great news that Crystal and her family were moving into housing. And as we left, Crystal reached out her arms to me for a hug. And I picked her up, gave her a hug, and wished her well, told her we would miss her. And she looked at me in the eyes and said, "Never forget me." And then gave me her stuffed animal. Never forget me. And I was stunned and touched deeply as I took her gift. And as I left that evening, I thought deeply about her words, "Remember me." And they said something much more profound than what I originally heard as I reflected on them. It hit me that I not only needed to remember this young girl, But I also needed to remember the gift she was to her family and to our students. I needed to remember her innocence. I needed to remember that she brought to us the gift that only a child can bring. And we're in this season when Christians remember the gift of a child to the world. So I remember Crystal. I also think that when she said, remember me, it challenged me to remember that our lives need to remain connected, intertwined. My life with the lives of my sisters and brothers experiencing homelessness. Not only because I, who have been so privileged in my life, can advocate with and for them, but that I, who have been so sheltered in my life, no pun intended, can learn from them about strength, about courage, about resiliency, about faith. We're also in this season where Christians light candles to remember the power of light over darkness. And we just ended the season where our Jewish sisters and brothers remembered the miracle of God during Hanukkah, providing light beyond the hopes and expectations of God's people. So as I remember Crystal, I remember the light that she brought, but also the light that I am challenged to bring to our sisters and brothers experiencing homelessness. The light that I can bring into their lives through recognizing our common sisterhood and brotherhood, and the light that I can bring in order to open the eyes of our larger community about the gifts that people experiencing homelessness are to our world, not because they are experiencing the difficulties of homelessness, but because they are standing strong and finding courage during those difficulties. So as we remember those who have gone today to rest, I ask that we all remember one gift that one of our sisters or brothers experiencing homelessness has given to us, like this gift that little Crystal gave to me. Let's all remember one gift, and let's take that gift out to the world as we not only stand with our sisters and brothers experiencing homelessness, but as we open the eyes of the larger community about the humanity and the inherent dignity that too often is ignored in those sisters and brothers. God bless you all. God bless this incredible organization with whom I have had the honor to partner in some ways, at least, for many years now. And may we all find light and peace and hope, not just for ourselves, but enough to continue to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Brose, for that touching homily. We will now light a candle for each of the neighbors that we have lost this year, as well as one candle for those neighbors who we don't know that we've lost this year. Now, if you would all please join me in a moment of silence and quiet contemplation. Thank you all for joining us for that moment of quiet contemplation. Thank you for joining us as our memorial today. This concludes our homeless memorial for 2020. Typically at this point, we would ask if anyone wanted to come up and say anything, but since we are conducting this memorial virtually this year, we would ask you to please share any comments you have in the comments section below this video. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for supporting all that we do. Journeys wishes you and all of your family a very happy holiday season.